about you?
I'm good. I'm trying to balance the back to school season, which is very appropriate for
Mm-hmm.
today.
It is.
Um, because we started homeschool a couple weeks ago and we're already falling behind. So I'm just like, let's dive into fictional school worlds instead of like IRL school worlds, please,
Exactly.
because IRL school is like killing me right now. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I don't have school, so I'm not
Yeah.
worried about that. But, September, cool weather. I'm always happy for that. So,
It's 60 degrees Fahrenheit here today, so it's like nice and cool and like they say that it's not going to end up being false fall here.
mm,
Usually we have like a false fall and then it goes to 90 degrees again and then it goes to actual fall.
yeah.
And they said this time that we're not going to get the false fall. It's just going to like cool off and stay cool.
Mm.
I'm like, please, please don't have the temperatures go back up.
I know. I finally have to
So,
wear a sweater to walk the dog in the morning, and I'm like, yes.
so nice. Love
So
this
nice.
season.
So today we're going to talk about our favorite series that are set at school or have something to do with a school setting.
Yes, I was gonna say I've got some that are very like tangentially school related, but like I think the school plays a key role in it, which is why
Mm,
I picked them.
that's fair. I think most of my picks I tried to, because there's a lot that are school like related, but I tried to pick ones where like the school is like heavily featured or like very important to the story.
Yes.
So do you want to start
So
or do you want me to start?
I I can start.
All right.
I have my first pick, I think won't necessarily be everyone's cup of tea for like a very specific reason, but I feel like we can't talk about school themed shows without talking about Hello Stranger. It's a Filipino drama where you have Xavier and Miko, and they're assigned to work on a school project together during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, which I think is why a lot of people will be like, not for me, because I understand like a lot of people wanting to like check out of that whole time completely. But I think that the way the show is done is so creative and interesting because the entire like most of the show takes place in the context of video calls and text messages on the screen and things like that. So a lot of what you're seeing from the characters is them interacting like in a Zoom call side by side. And that's how they grow closer, which is really cool. But basically Miko is like a super dedicated student. He hosts trivia nights with his friends on Zoom. Like he loves information and learning, and he gets paired up with class clown Xavier, who just is like super, yeah, you can do the work. I don't care. It's whatever you want to do. I'm not worried about it kind of thing. And Miko's just like, why did I get paired up with this guy? Like he is the worst. He's useless. This is terrible. Um, but as they kind of interact, he starts seeing like that there's a little bit more depth there than he realized, and he's not just like a dumb jock with like nothing behind his eyes. He's like actually a person who's got complicated stuff going on at home and is dealing with things. And so at first it starts off where they're like they talk about the project and then sign off. But then like as the series progresses, it's like, "Oh, I see this in your background. Like I didn't know you liked that or you were into that." And like start getting a little bit more personal. Um, but for me, I feel like it's just such a unique format of storytelling to have to kind of be forced to tell the story in the context of those online calls. Um, and I also feel like in some ways, yes, it's a time capsule of that time, but I also think it will resonate really heavily with anyone who like they have a friendship or a relationship or something where their primary method of communication is through the internet.
Mm.
Because even though these two are in the same town and in the same college and they're just like forced into this like temporary lockdown sort of situation and temporarily like having to communicate online, I think it resonates so heavily with people who are like, that's how I communicate with my people. Like my people are in the computer. So I really like it.
Yeah, it sounds cute. Like it sound I can see why people wouldn't watch it because a lot of people are like, no, thank you, don't want to engage with anything related to the lockdown. But I think from the aspect of like, especially now, like so many friendships or like people you just talk to them online. Like you don't like we don't see each other in person ever. Like
Yeah.
we only talk to each other online. So
Yeah.
like there is that like familiarity of having to get to know someone virtually.
Yeah. I just think the format is also so cool because it wasn't really filmed in the way of like, oh, you see them talking to a computer from like this outside camera angle. It was primarily filmed from the angle of the computer. Like it's
Mm,
filmed the way that we're filmed talking to each other. Is like, okay, we're like talking through our webcams. And there is some of like, I don't know if they had like an external camera that was like filming them to make it look like that, but it has some of that like grit and graininess where it's not quite like 100% quality
yeah.
either. That kind of makes it almost seem like they were like, okay, open up your laptop and like, here's your script and go, which like makes it feel so visually realistic, I guess,
Yeah.
which I
That's
think is
really
like
cool.
why I like it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. So you don't see a lot of series like filmed. I mean, I think we are a little bit now because we're getting a lot of the like vertical shorts, so they kind of feel almost more like I guess realistic or like someone is just holding a phone recording what's happening. But we don't, before we weren't really getting a lot of those things that felt kind of almost like homemade in a way.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like I know we have things like Gel Boys where like the text would show up on the screen and things like that. So you'd get some more of that like technology integration. But I feel like for me, like Hello Stranger was the first person I like the first place that I saw it like really executed very
Mm,
solidly, if that
yeah.
makes sense.
That's really cool. I haven't watched it, so maybe I need to add it to my list of too many things to
Yes.
watch.
And I do know, I guess there's a movie sequel to it that I have not watched, and I
Oh.
know that was kind of like hit or miss for some people.
Mm-hmm.
So like me recommending the series is not me like commenting on the movie sequel because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, fair.
Um, but I the series is very solid, and I don't feel like it's left on a cliffhanger where like, oh, if you miss the movie, you miss so much of the story. Like I feel like it was a complete enough ending that I didn't feel like I needed to go watch the movie then.
Right. That's good. All
So,
right.
yeah.
So my first one is Love Class 2. Which is a Korean show. And it essentially, so we follow six different guys. Three of them are all friends, like at the same university. And it's kind of funny because we have like these three different relationships starting very differently. And they're all a little bit secretive, like because we have the friend group, but they all aren't necessarily telling each other what's going on. So we have Lee Hyun, who's a freshman, and he starts school and he meets a tutor. And he just develops this crush on like the tutor in his department or whatever. But Kim and the tutor is kind of like cold and aloof, whereas Lee Hyun's like very cheerful and optimistic. So it's very much like grumpy sunshine kind of vibes between the two of them. And then we have Joo Hyuk, who has a fling with Seungmin, and then like in the morning, the guy's gone, and he finds out that the person he had a fling with is a TA in his department, and they're like, oopsies. So we see that relationship, and then the last relationship we have is Min Yu, who has a crush on his friend who's unemployed, Maru, and like we see kind of the different dynamics between all the couples and like how they navigate being in school together and like the fact that, one's a student, one's a TA, or one's really bubbly and happy and one's very cold, or, they were friends before school and now they're trying to navigate their feelings for each other. And we just see them like grow and develop as a couple, but also like as friends, like the friendship is really nice. And I want it like is one of those shows that is just very like soft and like warm and cozy. And it's really cute to watch them get to know each other, but it's also very cute because it's like you get to see. oh, this one guy is kind of with his crush, and then he's now meeting up with his friends and he's acting all weird, and they're like, what's wrong with you? But he's not saying what's happening because he's kind of keeping it quiet, what's that he has a crush on somebody or that they're, kind of seeing each other, whatever. So also, it's part of a series, but you don't need to watch the first one to know like they're completely separate seasons from each other. It's just Love Class 2 is like because I haven't seen the first one, but all the comments online are like, don't watch Love Class 1, only watch Love Class 2 because apparently Love Class 1 is not good.
Okay. And I haven't seen that one, so I definitely want to add it to my watch list, like now that you recommended it. And I do like those series where it's kind of like the series are kind of independent of previous ones. Like when we get a season two and it's kind of the same vibes or energy, but it's kind of a different story, I guess, where
Mm,
it's kind of like Soju Bomb. No, yeah, Soju Bomb was like the third season of Close Friend, and it was like its own storyline, but then you have Close Friend season one, Close Friend season two that are completely different than Close Friend season three.
right.
And so it's like those are all three like very different things. And you would think, oh, it's all Close Friend. I have to watch them all. And I was like, no, you don't. Like,
Yeah,
so
it's its
that makes sense
own
though.
insular thing. But if you like kind of an
Yeah.
ensemble cast, like it's done really well, and I really like seeing like how different the couples are and the relationships are and like how they kind of all interact together. It's nice.
Well, speaking of ensemble casts, my next pick is an ensemble cast. So, because my next one is Ploy's Yearbook, which is also not completely a school story set at the school, because a good chunk of the plot, like all the juiciest bits, happen 15 years after they've graduated.
Oh.
Um, but it flashbacks to their school years quite a lot to kind of figure out how all of this started, essentially.
Hmm.
You've got five girls. You've got Pres Ploy, Pretty Ploy, Plain Ploy, Punk Ploy, and Prof Ploy. And all of them are like in the same class, same name. They're like all connected by that tie. It's kind of the same thing as like here if like you had five girls named Jessica in the same class or whatever. Um, and so there are these like existing love stories for them as a part of that. But what happens is you have these five girls who 15 years after high school ends, one of them realizes there's a mistake in the yearbook and that their phone numbers got mixed up in the yearbook and that the wrong phone numbers were assigned to like the wrong ploy.
Hmm.
Um, and so, like, as a result of this, there's been a lot of miscommunications and problems that have happened, both because of the yearbook and also because, like, life goes on after high school and things happen. But everyone kind of like blames the one ploy who's like at fault for this. And they have to kind of like come together and like work out what's gone wrong because they feel like it all started with this yearbook. And it kind of like forces this like high school reunion for them, but
Hmm.
also forces them to like reckon with like their relationships with the people around them, the relationship with the people that they knew back then, and kind of move forward through like their hurt and animosity. Um, and I will say the main show does not have a queer main plot, but there are some queer subplots. But if you are like a dedicated GMMTV like queer love watcher, it has so many familiar faces because like the main characters in this, you've got Namtan, you've got Film, Earth, Jimmy, Jung, Mond, June, Thor, like anyone that you know from like GMMTV, like queer love shows, you're like, and here they are in Ploy's Yearbook. Um, but I think the interesting thing is like not only do we get to see the glimpses of them back in their school days compared to now, but you have like this sense of the people that they become after school. Because so much that you see in like a school show, you see like who they are in school. But with this, like you have Pres Ploy, who's like got these big expectations because she's a leader, or you have Prof Ploy, who's super studious and intellectual. And so people expect like the world from these two.
Hmm.
And when you catch up with them 15 years later, like their lives are crashing down. Like one of them has a failed business and failed relationship. And like they're dealing with all of these things where like they haven't lived up to the high school ideal of like where they were going to be. And then you have someone like Pretty Ploy or Ploy who like fought these other challenges and now come back like a lot stronger, or they're like trying to find their strength for the first time 15 years later. And it's just so interesting to see like that sort of situation. Um, it's also very, very tropey in that like you've got five relationships, and so you have one that is like an enemies to lovers, but also, by the way, they're step siblings plot. You have like a second chance romance of like, I loved you and then lost contact with you, and now your twin brother's here and he's like saying that you died and everything, but also maybe the twins have switched. Like, so you have like this parent trap sort of like twin swap plot in there.
Hmm.
You have like these friends who like tried dating and it didn't work out, but they're still best friends, but maybe there's still feelings there kind of thing. Um, so you have like all of these different plots where it's like, okay, it's like all the tropes. Um, but it's really cool because there is that kind of like who you are in high school doesn't define necessarily who you'll be forever,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
also the things that you do in high school can stick with you in like some of the most like painful ways. And that's where a lot of your like trauma for the future kind of comes from sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's kind
Yeah.
of it's great in both of those ways, and it's tropey and it's got a ton of familiar faces if you like GMM TV shows, so it like hits all the fun notes, I think.
That's really like interesting because like obviously like for a lot of people, high school friends are not necessarily adulthood friends. So like the idea that, they kind of are forced to come back together and like see where everybody is so because like I don't know if I would want to do that with people I knew from high school. Like I don't know if I would want to have to like go and like talk to them or like have the reunion. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to like think about what kind of drama could happen from all of that.
Yeah, that's me. Like I still live in the small town where like I graduated from, so you go to the town's like fall big celebration sort of thing and you see the people that you've known since like kindergarten, and it's like, oh, weird. It's strange seeing you here. But at the same time, it's kind of like you've all gone on such different paths.
Mm,
But then you also have like that group of people. Like I know someone that like he still hangs out with the same group of people that he hung out with in high school. And like that's his entire group of friends. Like they went to college together, they work at the same company, like they've never left each other's
yeah.
sides. And the show kind of like ties in both elements of that because you have a couple of the ploys who are like still friends and still hang out all the time. And then you have one that like they can't even get a hold of her because she's off in Italy. And they're like, someone has to know how to get a hold of Ploy. Like, where is Ploy? And so it's like funny because you see like both sides of that coin of like,
Hmm.
we never lost contact versus like, where'd she go? Like, has anyone seen her in
Yeah.
15 years?
Yeah.
So it's very funny in that sense.
That sounds funny. It's like, yeah, I can't imagine all the all the antics.
It's chaos.
It sounds like it. Sort of related, because you said there's kind of like an enemies to lovers situation. My next one is Why Are You, but it's the Korean remake. So there was an original Thai version, and this is the Korean version. I haven't seen the Thai version, so I have no idea how faithful it is to the original or not. Um, but basically, we follow Jung Lee Won, who is an acting major in university, and he is like this really intense rivalry with a directing major, Kim Ji-oh, and they're like they hate each other. Like they cannot stand each other. Every time they see each other, they get into a fight. Like they're like the biggest enemies. Like they cannot stand each other at all. But Jung's sister ends up writing like a web novel that's basically fanfic about the two of them falling in love. And he finds out about it and kind of in like his like shock and anger, he's like, if I secretly liked him, this whole story should come true. Like he kind of is just like so frustrated with the whole thing because he's like, I could never like that guy. Like I hate him so much. Like if I like him, then this has to be true, right? You know where this is going. So they end up like having to work together. I think they have some like acting project or something. They have to do something together. So they end up working together and spending time together. And things start mirroring the novel the sister's writing, but Jung's like, no, this can't be happening. Like, I don't want to like him. Like, he's awful. I hate him so much. And like this weird, like, is it a magical situation or is it just like there was always tension and now they're realizing that maybe they actually have things in common and maybe they actually kind of like each other? Like, who knows? It's so good. It's so good. It's very good. And they have some like secret rendezvous kisses in there. Mm.
I love a secret rendezvous kiss. And I don't know, I think like anytime you start getting into like real person fanfic territory, things can get very
Hmm.
chaotic and
The like
stressful.
one of the things I love about the show is like I can't remember if she started writing it because it was like a school project or something. But I think she's at the same school as them. So she sees them like literally fist fighting in the like park outside. And then she's like watching from the side like, "Oh, like is this a lovers like tryst? Like what's happening? They're rolling all over the floor. Are they making out? Oh my God." Like she's like taking it to this really romantic place when they're literally like trying to punch each other. Like it's so
That's such writer
hilarious.
brain though. Like she literally has writer brain because how many times have we been in the DMs like seeing like two characters absolutely trying to kill each other and we're like, "Oh my God, now kiss."
It literally is like that though, because I think there's like one scene where they're like arguing, they argue constantly. So they're arguing about something. I think one of them like grabs the other's collar and she's like walking by and she sees him like pull him close and she's like, "Oh, I need to write this down." Like she's like freaking out because she's like, "Oh, they're gonna kiss. Oh my God." Like just writing it into her book. And I'm like, "Girl, yes."
I have to watch that like immediately. It sounds so good.
It's so funny. I'm pretty sure it's like on the shorter side. I think it's like 8 episodes or something. So you can like really just
Okay, so not
watch
it's
it.
very bingeable then.
Yeah. It's so
Nice.
good. Like the sister, she knows what's up.
Yes. See, you bring up like secret rendezvous kisses. And the thing is like behind the curtain, like we don't talk about the plot lines for anything. We just kind of like we might bring to the table like here's the titles of the shows I'm talking about, and we haven't always seen each other's shows. But
Hmm.
like I feel like anytime we record one of these, I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing from yours ties into mine. And you're like, oh my gosh, this thing from mine, like yours ties into mine. And like every
Hmm.
single time there's like something that connects them. And I think so much of it is because we have the same elements that we like in shows, but we've also watched such a different library of shows.
Yeah.
So, because mine also is secret rendezvous kisses happening. Um, and so my next one is an underrated school pick because not all of the things that happen in the school that like people focus on, like not all the things that people focus on happen in the school, basically. So my next one is Not Me, which I think a lot of people would not list as a school pick, but I think the parts that are really relevant to who one of the main characters is and who he develops into happen as a result of what happens in the schools. Um, which is why I picked that one. So in Not Me, which is a Thai show, we are confronted with like two twins who were separated by like time and distance and everything. So they're not living together. Like one lives a very privileged life. He's planning to come back to Thailand because he's going to follow in his dad's shoes and become a diplomat. Like he lives like a very privileged life. But one thing that they've always had is these twin pains. So like if something happens to one of them, the other one can feel it a lot of
Mm.
times. So when White realizes that his brother is in trouble because he gets like these horrifying pains, he races back and like finds Black in a coma in the hospital. Like he is not okay.
Yeah.
And he can't tell him what happened or who attacked him because he's literally in a coma. And so White is like, I'm going to find out who did this to him. And the only real way to do that is to become him. So he goes and like gets his tattoos and piercings. He goes to his apartment. He like starts attending school as his brother. Like he's doing all of the things as Black in these situations to try to infiltrate like his life and find out what caused this attack and what happened. Um, and so a lot of the show is centered on the gang that Black is in, which is like this anti-capitalist gang and everything that's like really going after the rich people in society who are also massive villains in a lot of ways by the ways in which they like twist the law to their favor and
Yeah.
things like that, which feels very relevant in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Um, and so he's like getting into this group of people who are like very anti-capitalist, coming from this very privileged background where he like has benefited from wealth all his life. Like his best
Hmm.
friend is like one of the wealthy elites who like owns this like penthouse and things like this. And he's coming into this gang who's like literally committing arson and things like that and saying like if they're not following the law, then why do we have to follow the law? And like living in a garage together, kind of like waking up to gas mask drills that they have to figure out so they, in case they get attacked or arrested or whatever.
Hmm.
But what's happening is, in addition to infiltrating his life in this gang, he's going to school as his brother who's studying law. And he's like learning about the rule of law and he's learning about the importance of these legal things and applying those so much to what he's like trying to work through. And so you have this kid from this privileged background who's like basically going into this law school going, yeah, I mean, of course, people have to follow the law. And also, corporations, like, they're fine. They're not doing anything wrong. Like, that's just part of being a corporation. And then it's like slapped in the face with like this anti-capitalist gang who's like, yeah, but they're not following the law, and the people in power will change the law to suit their needs and benefit themselves. And you don't realize the like what's actually happening here. And so like it's that combination of what he's learning in school and what he's learning in this gang and what he's learning from his brother that like really boosts the trajectory of his growth. But the romance angle comes from there's this guy who he's like positive is behind his brother's attack. And so obviously he hates him and he's in this gang with him and he's like also you break a ton of laws and also you're a horrible person and also now I have to sit on the back of your motorcycle and wrap my arms around you and also we have to share this tent on this thing like this mission that we're on and also obviously I hate you but
Uh-huh. Hmm.
like I'm holding you a little tighter than I was before kind of thing.
Uh,
So yeah, it's good and it has a lot more school than I think people realize because people focus on like the gang, which is
yeah.
awesome. It's so badass. It's amazing. I'm like, oh my God, anti-capitalist like gang like trying to bring down the rich. Yes, please, like eat the rich, literally. But like also the educational side of things and the rule of law and using a law degree to like challenge
Mm.
capitalism. All good things.
Yeah, because I always see it. Like I always see people talking about not me and like I haven't watched it. And like I didn't even know that there was school at all. Like from all the things you see, it's just like, oh, they're doing something illegal. They're running around. Like it's I never once would have thought like, oh, this actually has a school element.
Yeah, like some of the members in the gang are his classmates in school. And so like they're using their law degree and their knowledge to try to get through things.
Hmm.
But also you have like this brilliant like trans rep and you have like this one character who's sitting there and looking at one of his classmates being like, "Oh yeah, the reason we didn't work out is because I'm too pretty. If I weren't pretty and trans, like you probably would have been with me longer. Like, but I'm prettier than you, so this just didn't work out," and things like that. And you have like this is pre-marriage equality Thailand, so there's like a big marriage equality rally scene
Hmm.
and all of this stuff. So you see a lot of like iconic protest scenes and stuff. But what you don't see is like that big marriage equality rally took place at a school fashion show put on by the fashion majors.
See, I
And
would
so it's like a
not,
lot of
yeah,
these taking place in their like educational careers.
yeah,
And this is like the stuff they're doing on the side of it while also trying to get a law degree, while also trying to like move on with their lives in a very legal way.
yeah,
And also like the ways in which the things that they're doing put that in jeopardy and like might cause harm to their future as potential lawyers, as potential students, and all of that. So it's like it's very complex.
yeah. I would
But
like, I really wouldn't have even thought that there, like, I probably would have been surprised, like, oh, there's school when I
yeah,
started watching it. Because, like, nobody sells it as, like, oh, this group of lawyer students do this thing. It's just like, look at these people running around doing stuff.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's also interesting, like you see these law students and like the dichotomy there of like, we're studying law and we're also lighting this building on fire. We're studying law and also we're practicing how to shoot a gun because we might have to.
Hmm.
And so, like, you have these students who are like acutely aware of the laws, using that knowledge to the betterment of society in a way.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very interesting and
That is
more school
interesting.
coded than people think.
Yeah, I think it's funny because my next one, it's not at all the same at all, like in any way, but I think it's interesting because our main character has a lot of knowledge that he's applying to his situation. So my next pick is Love for Love's Sake, which I think I've talked to you about a number of times because I watched
I
it a number
love
of
Love for Love's
times.
Sake.
Um,
It is cute. I watched it once.
Okay, yeah. So basically we follow 29-year-old Myung-ha who gets like transported into like a virtual game where he is now 19 years old and he's in high school. And it's like, very classic like, transmigration kind of story of like, oh, you're now in a character's body and there's a system that gives you points and missions and certain things to do. But his mission is basically to bring one of his classmates, Yu Woon, happiness. Like his whole goal is to make this other kid happy. And this kid is like a track and field star, and the day he gets into the game, something like really terrible is going to happen to this kid that he's supposed to bring happiness to. So immediately has to be like, I need to go. Like we have to start the mission right away. But we follow Myung Ha, who's like his brain is 29, right? So he has a whole life of, you know, trauma and experiences and knowledge about different things that he's bringing into this high school setting and like trying to navigate being a student, but also not really caring about being a student. So he
Yeah.
is navigating this system and like trying to make this other kid happy, but it's also way more complicated than that. And like, I don't want to spoil it because like there's some major aspects to it that is like revolved around the school because pretty much everything happens at the school other than a few like important moments happen elsewhere, but a lot of it is at the school and like with other classmates. But he like goes on such a journey and like it's interesting because his mission is to bring happiness, but like is that really his mission, you know?
Yeah. That sounds interesting. And like now that you describe it, I'm like, I don't think I actually have watched this. I thought for sure I had, and now you're describing it. I'm like, I have not seen this,
No.
but I want to. It sounds fascinating.
It's really good. It's like I think it's honestly like a very underappreciated show. Like I think the people who watched it loved it. I think the people who only watched it once were probably like, "Oh yeah, this is good." But like on rewatches, like there's way more kind of like hints and depth and like aspect because there's a lot about like it's not just about being in school. Like there's a lot that's about Myung-ha's life outside of school and like what's happening there that like makes it such a more complicated thing and like there's a lot about like trauma and losing people and grief and like making decisions and what those consequences are going to be once you've made that decision. So like to me, it's a show that like you have to watch twice to really get it. And then after that, like watching it even more, you find more things to pick up. But like the first time around, you're like, okay, good show. Like it was interesting. And then second time around, you're like, oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, they were hinting at that. Like, oh, there's these little things that I didn't pick up on first watch.
That sounds really good though. And I love a show that is like infinitely rewatchable, that you're going to have those things that like you didn't catch the first time.
Hmm.
To me, that brings out so much depth in a show that like you wouldn't
Hmm.
otherwise get.
I mean, definitely like a warning that this might be one you need to bring tissues for because there are some sad parts. But I highly recommend, like, it's one of my favorites. Like, it's one that I will watch probably over and over again because I love it so much. And, like, yeah,
And sometimes you just need to cry.
yeah.
So I'm good with that. See, my next pick is not the same in most ways, but there is kind of an interesting thing because you talk about like transmigration and like someone being there that maybe doesn't necessarily fit the world that they're in. And that applies very strongly to my pick, which is 23.5. Um, and I feel like I can't talk about like school shows without bringing up 23.5. Um, there were a lot of issues with the show overall. It's a lot of teenagers acting like teenagers. And
Mm.
so, as an adult watching these teenagers act like teenagers, there are times when I just want to shake them and be like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, stop that. Um, but it's also really, really good. So it's got Milk Love, and I mean, I love Milk Love. I think they're really cute together. But you have these two girls who, like, one of them is named Sun, and she is obviously super sunny, and like the whole school revolves around her brightness and happiness, and like everyone loves her. She's wonderful. And then you have Angsa, who is like very awkward, very shy, just moved to town, no one knows her. And she has this Instagram profile where she goes by the username of Earth, which tends to be more of like a boy's nickname in Thailand. And so when she's like using this account, Sun interacts with this account and is like, oh my gosh, you're so funny. You're so amazing. You're like the coolest boy I've ever met. Not realizing that it's Angsa, this new girl in school. And so these two are like interacting, and you see like I mean, and that's where the title 23.5 comes from, because that's like the Earth's axis in relation to how like it rotates around the sun. And so you have like Earth orbiting the sun basically, but
Hmm.
like can't touch the sun essentially. Like that feels untouchable. But the thing that I love, I've got two things that are like major about this show that really like hit. And the first one is that there is a character named Aelin who finds herself feeling more like an alien in the world around her. Like she wears a little alien hat all the time. She is like very, very, very autistic coded. Like I don't think they come right out and say that she is autistic, but they do very much discuss that she is different, not in a bad way, but it's a lot of like a lot of times when you see an autistic character or a neurodivergent character or something, it's like, how can we bring them into the circle by fixing them?
Hmm.
And that's not how Aylin's treated in this show. It's like there's a character who she has a romance with, and instead of being like, how can I fix Aylin? She's like, how can I bring Aylin into the circle by making the circle more accommodating to Aylin? And so it's not like, you know, you don't fit, so I've got to make you fit. It's you don't fit, so I need to make sure you feel like you can fit if you want to. I need to like open up this space and accommodate you in a way that's comfortable for you without making you feel othered. Because, like, obviously, you already know you're other. You feel other. You call yourself an alien. Like, but can you ever connect with someone? And it's great also because her romance is with someone named Luna. And so it's like, well, if you can't find a place here, like, can an alien find a place with the moon?
That's so
And like,
cute.
it's so sweet. and so precious. And I'm just like, oh my God, I love it so much. Um, and it also has like a cute queer relationship between two of the teachers who are both played by trans actresses because it's Gaji and Bam Bam. No, it's Gaji and Golf. And so it's like two trans actors like playing teachers, and it's just like, ugh, I love it so much. Um, but then I also have like weirdly specific insight to part of this show that had me like about to lose it on the main characters, okay? Because at one point in my multifaceted career
Mm.
history, I volunteered with a foreign exchange student organization. And like growing up, we hosted several exchange students um in like basically from the time I was 16 until I was like 25, 26, something like that. My family hosted exchange students. So there is a plot where Sun is planning to study abroad. Which I will go into some spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, maybe like skip ahead a smidge, but they're not like plot ending spoilers. Like anything I'm going to say is like probably something you can reasonably assume from the fact that it's a GL, basically. So, um, Sun plans to study abroad, and there are a lot of really realistic elements because it talks about her like taking the English language proficiency test or like the TOEFL to get a good score, and that's like a very realistic aspect of studying abroad. And it's like, it's weird how much emphasis that American host families will place on the TOEFL, which is like something that they use, I think, mostly in Thailand, but like in Asia in general for like English language proficiency, because it is really, really hard to get American families to place, like to host Asian students a lot of the time. Um, because there's like this misconception that like they're too close to their family, they are more likely to get homesick, like
Mm.
they don't know the language as well, and things like that is like what people think. But it's kind of like they'll be like, oh, well, you should host a European student because, they don't have those problems. But it's like I've known European students who were also like very like struggled with connecting with the community, struggled with the language, struggled with all of that. And I've known Asian students who like had problems with any of those things. So like that was one thing where it's like I felt like that was well represented is like the steps and process that it takes to study abroad. But there is this moment that Sun tries to convince Angsa to study abroad with her. And it's like, you can come study abroad. I'm going to America. Like, you can come with me and we can continue whatever this might be when we get there. And that was the part where I'm like, oh my God, because this is such like teenage think basically about the whole thing. Because I know so many students who are like, I'm going to go and study with my BFF, or I'm going to go and study. And then they get placed on opposite sides of the country and they
Mhm.
don't realize, like, one, we're not in driving distance or like transit distance or anything else. And two, that that's like on purpose. Like, I know two kids who were twins that were studying abroad here and got placed on complete opposite ends of the country. And the reason they do that is so that way, like, if you are placed with someone that you know, you're less likely to like integrate into the host family or integrate into the school or community. And so you're more likely to not make it the full 10 months of your like stay.
Right.
And so they purposely will separate people from people that they might know. And so I see these girls like very realistically from their perspective being like, we could study together. We can both go to the same city. It would be great. And I'm sitting here on the sidelines being like, the second they see that you're from the same school or even from the same city, they will separate you by like 1,000 miles. Like you will not be anywhere near each other. You will not see each other your entire stay. Like you might be on part of the plane ride over and then you will not see each other again for 10 months. Like if you're doing this to be close to each other, you won't be. And so it was like one of those things of like, I love this show. It's so cute. They also very much have teenager brain the entire
Yeah.
time. And I can't fault GMMTV because I feel like this is very realistic, but I also wonder how many people watch this being like, I could go study abroad with my girlfriend. I could go study abroad with my BFF. And it's like, that will not happen. You will not be placed even in the same state. Like, sorry. So, but yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, I watched it and I couldn't help like not feeling that like insider baseball with the whole thing and
Yeah.
being like, I don't like how this is showing this because it's very clear you guys are teenagers. But I love the show and it's very cute. And I love the autistic rep in it. I mean, I guess GMM TV is getting better about like calling their autistic characters autistic, but they did not in this show.
Mm,
But I don't
yeah.
think you can watch it without like seeing the clear neurodivergence there.
Um, well, kind of on the topic of like teenagers acting like teenagers.
Okay.
My next pick is My Love Mix-Up, the Japanese version. Um,
Yes.
which
I've only
we,
seen the Thai one.
yeah, you've only seen the Thai version, and I've only seen the Japanese version.
Yes.
Um, but essentially we follow Aoki, who has a crush on Hashimoto, who's like the girl that sits next to him in class. And he borrows her eraser one day and realizes that like she wrote somebody's name on it with a heart, which is apparently like a love spell. You know, you write your crush's name on your eraser, and like when you use up the eraser, like your love comes true, whatever. So he sees a name on the eraser, and it's Ida, which is the guy who sits in front of him. And he's like, oh no, like my crush has a crush on somebody else. Like, what do I do? And he's kind of freaking out because he, had in his mind, like, oh, I'll confess to her, but now he doesn't want to because they're also friends. Like, her and Hashimoto are friends. So he's like, oh, like, I don't want to confess to her if she likes somebody else, like, whatever. But then, you know, Aoki, being like the clumsy kid he is, drops the eraser, and Ida picks it up and sees his name on the eraser. So now Aoki is like, oh no, like, what do I do? Because he doesn't want to out Hashimoto and be like, oh, it's actually hers. So he just says it's his eraser. He's just like, yep, that's mine. Thank you. Yeah. So he gets himself into this situation where Ida thinks he has a crush on him, and like Ida takes it so seriously. Like he is so sincere, and he's like, well, I don't have feelings for you right now, but let me think about it and I will like really consider your confession. Like, thank you for telling me. And Aoki's like, or what, like he doesn't know what to do because he's like, if I say no, then he has to tell whose eraser it actually is. But if he says yes, he's like, but I don't actually like you. So he gets in this whole situation where Ida's like, okay, let's spend time together. Like, let's have lunch together. Let's hang out because you like me. Like, I want to see if I like you so we can decide if we should date each other. And Aoki's like, but I don't like you, but I can't say that I don't like you. So he goes on and on and on this whole thing about like not wanting to out Hashimoto. But then, feelings change. They spend more time together. They're trying to like navigate their relationship. And it's just like so sweet seeing like like it's like very high school. It's very much like, oh, they have lunch together or they work on a project together or, they're working on the school play and they're like helping each other with the painting sets or whatever. But I think one of the things I love about it is like A, it's so like just sweet, but it's also very like Ace and Arrow coded. Like Ida very much feels like an Arrow character because he's like, I've never had a crush on anybody. I don't understand what dating is. Like, I don't understand romance. Like, do I have to like you to go on a date with you, or can we just like see what happens? Like, how does this work? Like, he has no concept of how any of it works. And even with Aoki, he's kind of like a little bit confused about his feelings. He's like, "Oh, but did I just like Hashimoto because she's my friend and she's nice?" Or like he's like trying to wrap his head around what's going on. So I love seeing like how they both kind of respect each other's need for time to like figure out how they feel about each other.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting too because like some of the aspects of the show are very cultural,
Hmm.
like the eraser thing, like that's a very like Japanese thing. So in Thailand to like translate it over those cultural elements, they would like take things and be like, oh, well, we live in a very Japanese village in Thailand. And so it'd be like, that's why we do this like super Japanese tradition. That's why we're going to like this shrine at this time,
Mm,
not because it's like a Thai thing to do, but because we live in a very Japanese village in Thailand. And so it's like that's what they would do is like kind of like bend the story to
yeah.
their will a little bit and be like, this definitely makes sense for where we live here.
Because some of
It's
it is
like, sure
like
it does.
it's very Japanese. Like, and that's I think that's the thing. Like one of the things I do enjoy about Japanese series is like when they feel very Japanese. Like even if it's a remake or there's been another adaptation from a different country, like I like when you like really feel the influence of Japan. Because there's even like a layer to it of,
Yes.
they have the conversation of like, oh, but we're two boys. Like, is that okay? Like, are we allowed to do that? Like, should we care if other people don't like it? And they even have a moment where, an older tutor kind of finds out and is kind of like has a bit of a reaction to it and like, what are the consequences of people finding out? Like, how do you navigate that situation? Because, it's not something that's legal here. So what do we do about that? Like, do we have like we have to have that conversation? So I think it's
Yeah.
interesting that like the Thai version kind of took the Japanese elements to like make it still work, but we're like, oh well, it's just a Japanese village. That's why it makes sense, even though it wouldn't make sense in Thailand.
Yeah. I feel like if it had been a Thai series and they took it to Japan, I think the way that Japanese adaptations are done, I think they would have found more Japanese equivalents to
Hmm.
what was happening in the Thai series and kind of like twisted those things. Whereas I feel like Thailand was just like, we live in a Japanese village and that explains that.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything like inherently wrong with that. I think it was well done. I think there were still a lot of elements that felt like distinctly Thai about it, but it was like one of those things of like the adaptation was definitely very much like, and now we have a neat explanation.
I mean, hey, if it works, it works.
Yes.
Either way. The Japanese version is cute. I like it. We have talked about this in a different episode somewhere. I don't know what order we're putting things out, but we have kind of talked about there might be a plot difference too, in that the Japanese version really follows like kind of the first two volumes of the manga and nothing else. And the Thai version might kind of expand on that a little bit more. So there is that difference too. If you're going to watch both of them, you just to know that like they might end at different places.
Yes, definitely. And they do have different elements too. I just think like the plot being centered around the eraser and things like that, it's so funny how they handled that. Um, but yeah, if we have already posted the video that we talk about it, we'll like link to it with a card or something. And if we haven't, then we'll come back and add it when we post that one, I
Yeah.
guess, or something. We'll link the two somehow and then you can see what we think about it since we have also talked about this elsewhere. And it may or may not be up at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
well, I have one more that is very school related, and this one does take place a lot in school. I did have some school picks that were actually in a school for a lot of it. Um, and in this one, it's Jazz for Two. So it's a Korean series where you have Tae, who's a musician that's like dealing with the death of his brother, who is a very talented pianist. And then you have Seon, who's like a pianist who joins Tae's school. And his music reminds him so much of his brother. Like they play the same kinds of songs, like it's kind of a jazz like track, but he's playing like he plays in a certain way that like has a lot of classical influence on his jazz playing. And so there is like this thing where he reminds him so much of his brother that it's causing him like additional grief. And so there's a lot of times where he has almost that like uh oh my God, now I can't think of it. it's almost like that reaction that what's his face, Robert Pattinson. I know that's not his character in Twilight. I don't know what his character's name is for some reason.
Edward.
But like, yeah, Edward. I'm more Team Jacob, and so I'm just like, who is that vampire dude? I don't know him. Um, but it's like he almost has that like that same visceral reaction that Edward has to Bella, where he's just like he sits and like scowls at him in class all the time. He
Hmm.
sits and just like it's just like, oh, please get away from me, like being near you is causing me physical pain kind of reaction. And it's solely because he's like, I look at you and I see my dead brother, which we can't unpack too much because at the same time, he's also like, I'm attracted to this person who also reminds me of my dead sibling who I'm grieving. But like, we can't unpack that too much because then it starts to get like in this weird Freudian territory. But
Yeah.
essentially, he is grappling with these two very distinct emotions of like, I don't want to be anywhere near you. You're causing me physical pain because of the intense grief that I'm feeling. But also, I feel like this obsessive connection to you where I have to be around you and see you and know what you're doing and protect you when other people might cause you harm and this like weird protector vibe. Um, but then you also have, with Sehun, he's like, it's his first time like going to this school. He's been homeschooled for a long time to really focus on his classical piano. And so you see those moments where he's like overly trusting of someone who maybe doesn't have his best interests in mind. Or he's trying to fit in, and so he might be like, I don't really know what to do in this situation, so I'm just gonna go along with it. And sometimes that gets him into like difficult or troubling situations because he wants so badly to be like normal and not the weird homeschool kid who's brand new and things like that, which is really interesting. But my favorite thing about the show is the way it portrays friendship, like beyond the relationship, beyond everything else. You have this friend, Do Yoon, who's like the best friend that anyone can have. He's like existing as a friend to Tae, but he becomes friends with Seyun like right off the bat. Like the second he meets him, he's like, you're my new friend. I'm going to make you feel welcome here. Like, you don't get a break. Here's a drink. Like, let's hang out kind of vibes. He's super bubbly and welcoming and everything. And it's like, there is this clip where, like, Seyun is like gone for a few days or something. And he's like standing there talking to Tae, and he sees him and he like throws Tae to the ground and like goes running to him and hugs him. And Tae kind of looks at him like, that's my crush. What are you doing? Like, and also you're my best friend. What are you doing? Like, he like seems to have like this weird look on his face of like, that's my best friend and that's my crush. What are you two doing together? Even though he knows like about their friendship, it was just like so dramatic. He like literally like shoves him to the ground to get to this buddy. And it's just like, I don't know. He was just like the most friendship goals on the planet. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like you can't watch that show and not like come out wanting a best friend like him. He's like supportive bestie number one ever.
We love a supportive bestie. Like
I love it.
all the supportive besties all the time.
Yes. Which is like one thing that I loved about my love mix up is like it was friendship goals and Jasper too
Hmm.
is friendship goals. So,
All right. Well, my last one is Takara-kun and Amagi-kun, which is basically just like high school vibes, pretty much. But we follow Takara, who's like the popular student. You know, everyone thinks he's so cool. He's like the cold, kind of like stoic, cool student. And then we have Amagi, who like all of his classmates love him, but he's very much like clumsy, awkward, like silly little guy vibes, you know? Like he's like that kind of, the class clown, like funny dude, but he doesn't mean to be funny. And we basically follow them and like Amagi kind of just confesses like, "Hey, I like you" to Takara, and they kind of secretly start dating and they don't want people to know. And they kind of realize like the difficulty of like dating in secret because there, are other classmates that maybe like have a crush on Amagi or are flirting with him or whatever. So we just kind of follow them, like figuring out their relationship, figuring out how to be together, and like what is dating even because it's like a first relationship. Like neither of them have dated anybody ever. So they're like, what do we do? Do we hold hands? Do we go on dates? Like, oh my gosh, I'm at your house and your parents aren't here. Like, is that okay? Like, what is happening? We follow the very like high school moments of like being with somebody for the first time and you don't know what you're doing. But it's just very sweet. And like I do love that like Amagi is very much this like super clumsy, like silly dude. And Takara is like the total opposite, but like you can tell that like Takara is so in like finds Amagi so endearing and like cute and adorable because he is so clumsy and weird and silly. Like their dynamic is so adorable. I just love it.
It sounds cute. I like cute.
It's very cute. Like it's really like if you need something that's just kind of like cute, sweet, like nothing stressful or upsetting, like it's very much just like, oh, they like each other, they figure out how to be together. There's a few kind of bumps in the road with like other classmates or, whatever, but overall it's just adorable. And like Amagi
Yeah.
is hilarious. Like it's one of those shows that like it's not a comedy, but like he is the funniest character. Like he just does things that you're like when they go over like when he goes to Takara's house and they're like gonna have a sleepover, he has a shower, he has a bath, and he changes and he's like, okay, so I'm wearing his clothes and where am I gonna sleep and what do I do? So he literally like slides into Takara's room, kind of like a like Ferris Bueller style, and is like, hey, like he doesn't know what to do with himself. And he's just like the most awkward person, but it's so adorable. I'm like, oh, you were so cute, but you were so silly.
Yes. I love it. That's funny though.
It was really funny. Like he's hilarious. He's such a good character. He's so funny.
I love it. See, to me, like sometimes you need a show like that that's like a balm on the soul that's like
Hmm.
it's no pain, just like all vibes and happiness and navigating first relationships. And
Hmm.
I like shows like that.
You should watch it. It's very cute.
I need to. Why do I always walk away with these like from these recordings with like a ton of new shows to watch?
I don't know. And we always do it where like we have no overlap. Like they're completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
But
how
like
do we
if
do
you
that?
look at our like monthly things like where we're watching, like we have a lot of overlap. So I don't know how we keep having like all different shows, but it's good.
All right. Have you done all of yours?
I think that's all of mine.
Okay. So I can't count for some reason today.
I
So
don't know how to count in general.
if you have any school setting recommendations, definitely let us know in the comments. Or if you watched any of the ones we mentioned, like tell us what you thought, which was your favorite. Do you like or hate any of them? Let us know.
Yes. Like this is our top five, and if you go into the comments and are like, those were my least favorite school shows ever, that's okay. We want to hear it. We want
Yeah.
to know what your opinions are.
Yeah, tell us what other
So,
school show we should watch instead if you didn't like these ones.
yes. Yes. And all the school settings, like high school, college, like throw them all at us.
Hmm.
We're here for it.
Yeah. All right. So we'll, I guess, see you in the next one.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.